July 19th, 2018, Canadian cannabis company Tilray debuts on the NASDAQ. Virtually overnight, its value skyrockets to $20 billion, more than American Airlines.
We think it's a huge opportunity.
By 2019, the legal pot market tops $10 billion, and a new class of marijuana moguls emerges.
It's weird, I'm like Colonel Sanders of pot.
Marking a major turning point. Cannabis has officially gone corporate. Are we going to look back at this time and think, that was the time when cannabis really took off, where it was really publicly accepted, where the money could be made?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure. When we opened our first store, one of our investors was learning jujitsu so that he could better handle himself in the event that he did go to prison.
Steve White, CEO of Harvest Health and Recreation, one of the largest cannabis companies in the U.S. What's changed? I mean, what is it about right now?
Historically, for the average investor, cannabis was way too risky. In a couple of years, your question is whether or not everybody's going to be on board. So right now you're in that sweet spot where you could make tremendous returns if you invest in cannabis.
We're at an inflection point, the golden era of cannabis investing.
Yes, I will say this is the golden era. I truly believe that.
Danny Moses, legendary investor who bet against subprime mortgages, aka The Big Short. And so that was The Big Short.
Yeah.
Is this the big long?
This is the big long. It's the best macroeconomic opportunity I've seen within the U.S. markets in my career.
Was there a light bulb situation when you thought, this is it? This could be a huge business.
Well, I went to a dispensary in Denver right when the market opened, and it was eye-opening.
Vivian Azer, the first pot stock analyst for a major investment firm, Cowen & Company.
There were young people, there were old people, there were people that looked affluent and not. And keep in mind, 5 years ago, it was still really taboo.
Not anymore. At the end of 2018, Canada became the first G7 country to legalize cannabis on the federal level. In the U.S., 33 states have legalized medical marijuana so far. 11 of them have also legalized recreational marijuana.
If you had told me that Oklahoma, Missouri would have medical cannabis, I said, you're nuts. If you had told me that a couple years ago, but it happened.
So did the stratospheric rise of CBD, the extract from the cannabis plant that doesn't get you high. It was federally legalized at the end of 2018, which is why you've seen it in everything lately, and just about everywhere.
CVS, Walgreens, Sephora, Ulta, on top of all the luxury department stores.
Every company's trying to figure out a strategy that has CBD attached to it. That's like the new .com from 1996. Oh, just say .com, your valuation goes up.
But bulls say the real money still lies in getting high. CBD sales in the U.S. are expected to reach $16 billion by 2025, while whole plant sales are projected to be $67 billion. 5 to 10 years, how big will this industry be according to your estimates?
Cannabis in the U.S. should be as big as tobacco in the U.S.
As big as big tobacco?
Mm-hmm.
Is most of the growth just the transitioning from the black market to the legal market?
There are a number of people who have been using cannabis illegally, and those people are going to start using cannabis legally. And then there will be people like you who decide, I gotta try this.
You know, a lot of the companies that we talk to, they're really going after that like Chardonnay soccer mom.
The Chardonnay soccer mom,
Yeah.
Even she wants to use cannabis.
Absolutely.
The other part of it is new generations of people are not gonna have been informed by Nancy Reagan like I was.
When it comes to drugs and alcohol, just say no.
They won't even know who she is, I'm sure.
I hope they know who she is, but they won't be as influenced as I was.
They won't hear her voice in
That's
their head.
probably right, yes.
Can you light mine?
Case in point,
Here, I got you.
Okay.
Kelly and Jordan are college sweethearts on spring break from Minnesota.
We had my first kiss outside the coffee shop. It was adorable.
A vacation centered entirely around cannabis.
We're average Joes. Just happens to be that on the weekends we like to get a little high.
Just two nice kids from the heartland enjoying a cannabis-infused couples massage.
So it's going to naturally anti-inflame.
Cannabis cooking class.
Remember, we want to build flavors, not necessarily taste weed the whole time.
Even a smoke-filled party bus ride.
Feeling great.
But notably, not one sip of alcohol.
The average college student on spring break wants to go get drunk, and we were just like, let's go get a little stoned.
And we see that in our survey data, that somewhere between 60 and 70% of consumers will cut back on alcohol when they ingest cannabis.
A trend some big alcohol companies themselves couldn't ignore. Beverage giant Constellation Brands, owner of Corona, among other popular brands, turned heads when it made the biggest investment in the cannabis sector to date, pouring $4 billion into canopy growth.
This is a nice small bag of marijuana. That's yours. You can keep it.
Trust me, I wouldn't know what to do with it.
Canopy's founder, Bruce Linton, is the man who reeled in that massive investment.
That's a big deal. And you know, when you think about their investment in us, anybody who is a potentially disrupted party, the smartest thing in the world is why not buy a hedge on it?
And it's not just alcohol. You've seen the maker of Marlboro cigarettes in the U.S. Get involved. So I think what's driving some of those changes in consumer behavior is a better awareness and a desire for healthier living.
So it's viewed as a safer drug.
Disrupting the alcohol and tobacco industries might be enough on its own to attract investors, but remember, recreational use is just half of the cannabis equation.
I mean, for the investor, you've got the best of both worlds. You've got the growth on the consumer side and the growth on the medical side.
Exactly.
It's like you get to go sell to the guy who just got off work, and you get to sell to the guy who's too sick to even go to work.
And Ethan Stewart would know. Not just because he's an award-winning cannabis journalist for the Santa Barbara Independent,
Any editor will tell you, write what you know.
but also a longtime consumer.
And I knew marijuana.
Smoking pot just for fun at first, before turning to it as a lifeline.
Someone like me to arrive at age 35 with an MS diagnosis and stage 4 neuroendocrine pancreatic cancer diagnosis, I was just gutted and kind of like, what do we do? So yeah, I dove off the deep end doing full extract cannabis oil, and where it has led me, I did not anticipate.